Hi guys, JP from FSiPanel. On that quick tutorial I will show you how you can fly quick approaches using this beautiful Fokker 28 from Just Flight. FSiPanel Standard Edition is now fully compatible with that aircraft. You can fly all kind of approaches within a few seconds. So let me show you how to fly approaches on that aircraft. So I just loaded the aircraft in Geneva on runway 22. Let's jump in the cockpit. Here we are in the cockpit of our aircraft. As you can see, I didn't touch anything. We have the wrong nav setting right there. We have the flaps set to 11. It's basically the default cockpit when you load the aircraft on the runway. What you have to do now is make sure you have the correct aircraft weight. So this is the time for you to change the weight as you like for your training. So just add fuel, remove fuel, do whatever you want to have the correct gross weight that you want to use for your landing. Once this is done, then we can start FSiPanel and program the approach. You can see that I haven't changed even the QNH, just basically the standard cockpit, and now we are starting FSiPanel. Okay, here we are in FSiPanel. So the first thing to do, as always, make sure you are in the right airport. Normally FSiPanel detects the airport and the runway you're sitting at. So right now that's correct, Geneva runway 22. And we can see now that the Just Flight Fokker 28 has been detected by FSiPanel. I'm not going to show you all the positions. This is more complex. What we will try today, just left-hand vectors and a final position. What you have to know on the Fokker 28, when you position the aircraft anywhere but in final approach, the aircraft will be positioned with flaps up as the approach speeds are very low. So then it gives you the time to configure the aircraft, and I will show you that in a minute. And when you go on short or long final, then the aircraft will be fully configured for landing. All right, so let's start first with a left-hand vectors in Geneva. So we should be positioned at 3,700 feet, and we should establish ourselves at 8 nautical miles. So when I click move aircraft, then we will see what happened on the Fokker 28. All right, move aircraft. Here we are in the cockpit. First thing, the flaps are moving up as expected, and this is what FSiPanel is telling you here. And then the aircraft is going in the air. So now we have, as always, to sit on our hands. Do not do anything while FSiPanel is programming your aircraft. The aircraft is turning to the correct heading. You can see that we are descending toward 3,700 feet, as stated by FSiPanel. So now we are in idle thrust. When we reach 3,700 feet, then we will need to add some thrust, as the aircraft doesn't have any auto throttle, as you know. So I'm about to reach 3,700 feet. I want my speed to be around 200 knots to start configuring the aircraft. So right now I'm at around 210. So that's good enough. So I will start to add some thrust as soon as the aircraft maintains 3,700. So let's add some thrust.
2,500.
And now you can see that FSiPanel is telling us that the aircraft is ready. Hold your brake for 3 seconds to take control. So now it's the good time, as you are in position freeze. As you can see, we are not moving. It's a good time to check all the nav setting. We can see that FSiPanel has set the course for the ILS 22 in Geneva on both nav. We have the right frequencies. We have the flaps up for now. We have the gear up. The speeds are set. The QNH is set, and we have the altitude windows to 3,700 feet. Our nav source is to a glide slope automatic for the flight director. All right, we are in heading and altitude hold. And basically now you can set whatever you need to set. Normally you are fully ready for the approach, but if you feel like changing something, just go ahead and change anything you like. Whenever you're ready to take over the control, the only thing you have to do is hold your brake for 3 seconds, and here you go, you'll be flying. You can see that the ILS is perfectly set. So let's try to take over the control. So I will hold my brake for 3 seconds. And as you can see, aircraft is ready. You have control, so now I have the control. What I can do is just arm beam for the localizer, glide slope for the glide slope, and we are now moving forward. We are out of position freeze. And basically I just have now to configure my aircraft. You could even start to configure your aircraft in position freeze. If you feel that you're too fast, feel free to extend some flaps while you're in position freeze, and whenever you're ready, hold your brake and start flying. As you can see now, I'm flying around 200 knots, which is the good speed on that aircraft to configure flaps 11. So I'm just maintaining my speed at or below 200 knots. Localizer will start to move very quickly, so we will see how she intercepts the localizer. Let's try flaps 11. So here I extended the flaps to flaps 11, reducing the speed now to around 160 knots. Localizer is alive, so we should get localizer green very soon. Here we go. So if you look here, you can see that Vorlok, and now we have glide slope armed. So turning inbound, I will set my heading bug toward the runway. 160 knots, that's a good speed at that stage. We see the glide slope is coming now. And once the glide slope is captured, I will position again the aircraft on ground, and I will show you how you can fly a direct final approach. And then we will see the after landing flow and the landing report, all available with the Fokker 28 on FSiPanel Standard Edition. All right, glide slope is about to be captured. Here we go, glide slope green. Speed is good, around 160 knots, and the aircraft is flying down. Everything is set. All right, as you can see, the speed brake, it's not called the speed brake on the Fokker 28, sorry. It's not armed yet, because we are not on final, so this is your responsibility. As soon as you go gear down and you have your final flaps or flaps full, then you can arm it. We are going down, everything looks fine, so I will bring the aircraft back on the ground and I will show you a direct to final using FSiPanel 2020. So let's bring the aircraft down now. All right, simulator is ready. As you can see, ready to fly. I just loaded again the Fokker 28 in Geneva on runway 22. I will click ready to fly, and here we don't need to touch anything again on the cockpit. You can just set your weight if you're not happy with the default weight. Set your fuel as required, and then whenever you're ready, we are going to start our approach. Before we do that, I will just show you that FSiPanel is even taking care of the nav setting. This is the right frequency, so let's screw it up a little bit here. And we are going to put the center pump on, even though we have no fuel. So you will see that FSiPanel will even look at that during the pre-flight before starting the approach. And even the lights, if we switch off the lights, whatever you want to switch off the lights to play around, this is just to show you that FSiPanel is taking care of your whole cockpit. So let's switch off the strobes. That's it. Even the seatbelt sign, let's put it off. That's it. Now we are going to use FSiPanel, program a direct final, and see if everything is set properly. So I start FSiPanel. Here we go. As always, Geneva, runway 22, that's correct. It's the Fokker 28, perfect. So we are going to go on the long final. I don't recommend you to go short final unless you are ready to act quickly on the thrust, and it might be a little bit more difficult for the aircraft to stabilize. Long final is 8 miles, so that works perfectly well. So let me demonstrate that. I go long final and I click move aircraft. When we do that, the flaps will be moving to flaps full, and now FSiPanel will start waiting for the flaps first, and then we'll set the whole cockpit and we'll ask you to advance the thrust levers. So let's see that. Now we are waiting for the flaps. So we have the message waiting for the flaps. They are extending. If we look outside, you can see that they are still moving. So that's why FSiPanel is not moving yet. And now we get that message to set the engine HP. So this is the high pressure, between 70 and 75% to start the approach. So now if we look in our cockpit, we can see now that the center pump have been switched off by FSiPanel. The light will come later on. The fuel pumps already are on, and the rest will be done as soon as we start moving. All right, so let's bring our thrust now to 70%, a little bit more than 70%, and FSiPanel will take over and position the aircraft. So let's do that now. Increasing slowly the thrust. I'm above 70% now. And here we go. So now you get a message from FSiPanel that you need to add thrust when reaching 3,700 feet. We have a lot of drag on that aircraft, so you will need quite a bit of thrust to maintain 3,700 feet or whatever is your desired altitude with gear down and flaps 42. So be ready for that. Right now we are descending toward 3,700 feet, as you can see. So I'm getting ready. My speed is dropping already, so I increase the thrust to at least 85%. This depends on your weight, of course, but be ready to add thrust. Do not let the speed drop below your VRF plus 10. So we are about 3,700 feet, so FSiPanel will give us the control very soon. Here you go. Aircraft ready. Hold your brake for 3 seconds to take control. Alright, so before we take control and we fly that approach, let's have a look at the setup. Seatbelt sign is on, no smoking sign on. Now we have all the lights as required. As you can see, we have the nav setting done, so the cockpit has been set by FSiPanel. You can see the speed dropping quite fast, so here the idea is not to maintain 3,700 feet for 10 minutes. It's the idea to release the aircraft as soon as you feel comfortable and fly the approach. Here again, you can start to configure the aircraft. If you want to do a flaps, for example, 25 landing, increase your speed, retract the flaps to 25 before taking the control. If you want to change anything in your nav setting, just do it right now. And whenever you're ready, hold your brake. I will do it right now. I get the confirmation that I have the control, and I can just again arm the localizer, beam, and the glide slope. And our beautiful Fokker 28 is flying down the approach. As easy as that. So now I will move forward the video for the landing, and I will show you the after landing flow that can be done automatically and the landing report. Alright, so I see you just before landing. Alright, coming on short final, I will take it manually. What I didn't remember before was the lift damper. As you can see now, it's been armed by FSiPanel. Alright, let's fly manually. It's a bit bumpy today in Geneva. We have a storm, so I'll try to do the landing on that aircraft. I'm not used to it, but let's see what we can do. That's why we train. So I'll try to maintain the PAPI now and to land the aircraft. Alright, that's the inner marker at the minimum, which is correct. Speed is good, 3 red, correcting. Very sensitive on the pitch, the speed is good. Going back to center line for the crosswind. PAPI is correct.
50, 40, 30, 20.
Floating.
10.
And here we are, on the ground. And I will take the second to the left. Alright, so I need some practice definitely on that aircraft. That was my second or third landing attempt. She's very, very, very sensitive on the pitch, but very nice aircraft. I love it. I love it. She flies very well. Alright, vacating the runway. First thing I want to show you now is the after landing flow. So let me stop here, so it's gonna be easier for you to understand what's happening. So I just landed the aircraft, and now you want to taxi your aircraft to the gate, and on that Fokker 28 you have a lot of things to be done on the cockpit by the first officer while you taxi the airplane safely. So if you want to use FSiPanel, the only thing you have to do is to retract 1 notch of flaps. If I do that now, then FSiPanel will kick and will start to do the after landing flow. So all the lights will be set as required. You can see taxi light, strobe lights will be turned off, and then we're gonna have the weather radar off. We're gonna have everything as per the operating manual. The anti-ice is turned off, so it's basically doing the entire after landing flow. The only thing that FSiPanel is for the time being not able to do is to start the APU. I have to ask Just Flight why we cannot access that button. But you can start the APU by yourself or use GPU once reaching the ground, once reaching your gate, and you can taxi your aircraft safely to the gate. Everything has been done by FSiPanel, your first officer. All right, so let's stop the aircraft right there and let's have a look at the landing report, which is another feature as well available on the standard edition of FSiPanel. So let me bring FSiPanel and we have a look at this landing report. All right, landing report, and as you can see, it was flown on the autopilot, so a little bit bumpy with the tarmac here, and you can see that not too bad. We were very close, less than half a dot on the localizer all the way, and glide slope was as well very nice. A little bit long, I was floating, so it's just within limit. Unfortunately, I was to the left of the center line, so that has to be corrected. As well, the rate of descent was good, but you know what, I would prefer to have 250 feet per minute rate of descent, but a center line landing than this one right here. So I need training on that aircraft, so that's good. That's why I can do another landing just now using FSiPanel. All right, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you have any question or comment about FSiPanel and the Fokker 28, please leave your comment in the section down below. I'll be very happy to answer your questions. So I'm hoping that you will be able to fly a lot of good approaches with the Fokker 28 and FSiPanel. As always, stay safe and see you next time. Bye-bye.